Hello and welcome to Burning Questions, February 16, a big show ahead of one of the big country features on the calendar and one we haven't seen for a little while. It's Terang Pacing and Trotting Cup Night on Saturday. It'll be the first running of those two races since 2022 with the big stable complex upgrade. So it's going to be a great night of racing. I'm going to head down to Terang for my first meeting there ever, which is going to be fantastic. And we've got a big panel assembled. We'll start with the man that's got the latest of all late call-ups. Toby McKinnon joins us live from, he reckons it's part of his house, wherever he lives, but it's not. It's the SEN track headquarters. Toby, thanks for jumping in at the last minute, mate.
No worries, mate. Straight off the sub bench. I've just taken the vest off and I've done a quick warm-up. I've run up and down the boundary line twice and I'm ready to go.
Twang would be the
noise. You've done that before, Toby.
Yeah, yes. I think I did tell you the reason you were at the late call-up, didn't I? He lets us down a bit on this show.
JP Lee.
Yeah, he did. When I rang him yesterday, I had low confidence levels that he'd turn up, and he hasn't, so he's lived up to it. Mattie Craven does join us. He's a local hero down there, and he's preparing to win the Cup. And I don't know, is there an after-party at your place, Matty, on Saturday night?
Oh, you'd nearly say that's a given if we win the Cup, but that's a big ask.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for joining us, mate. And Bronte Nieuwenburg, I told her we were filming this at 12 noon. It is now 6 minutes past 1. Bronte, hopefully you've been able to fill in the last 66 minutes in some way.
I've been so productive. I have my actual form computer behind my laptop right now. So I got a lot of work done in the last hour.
Good to hear. You should have all the information for us, a few winners. Great stuff. Good panel. Let's get stuck right into the questions. Pride's Easy Feed stand as a proud supporter of the harness racing industry with their set recipes in quality ingredients to give the trainer confidence in what they're feeding. So make the switch to Pride's and start getting the result you've been chasing. Major Fire has been bowled in front of late, but can she make it 3 straight? This horse is part owned by one of our great friends, Darren Carroll. I might start with you, Bronte. She's been really good finding the front at Maryborough and Cranbourne since resuming from a spell. But I had a quick look at the gate speed, and there's probably a few that might challenge her for that front-running role on Saturday night.
Yeah, she doesn't actually have the best ratings on Sulky Up, and I think you could almost put that down to the fact that she does find the front. She's not covering extra distance, and she does what she has to win. So we could see that rating improve. I don't have her on top. I think she would find the front if Rosarito Miss got there first, potentially, or Modern Bliss would hand up. The Queenslander Delightful Major, I don't know if it would hand up. I don't see it crossing to the front first, but I do think Major Fire would be in trouble if Delightful Major got to the front before it.
Yeah, okay. In saying all that, do you think she's good enough to win Major Fire?
I think she might be, but if I was to say that, I'm going against Sulky Up ratings because sectionally she is the second worst horse in this race. So she would have to improve on her sectionals to win, but I think she can because her sectionals are probably based on the fact that she's been finding the front.
Yeah, good stuff. Go to you, Toby. What are your thoughts? I thought she was really brave at Cranbourne last weekend. She had to work really hard to find the front, and it was a slow quarter home, but she held them all off, and she's a pretty handy horse, but there's some handy rivals in this race. Race 8, the final leg of the quaddie.
Well, I think if there was another 400 metres at Cranbourne, she wouldn't have won last week, and I can't see her getting to the top any easier than what she did last week, so she'll have to do it from behind, and I think that'll be pretty tough. Highway to Heaven's got great gate speed. When he wants to use it, he can, and I think he'll hold them out at the start. The only other possible would be Rosarito Miss, might just be lightning off the gate. She's got a great record at Terang, but the way I see it, either Highway to Heaven or Rosarito Miss will lead. The tempo comes out of this race, and Luke Humphreys can wind up with a pegs dominated affair. And I've been using this stat, Tim. Highway to Heaven, 7 years of age. Modern Bliss was a C5 when he was born back all those years ago. And he just might do it the old Marvel. If Highway to Heaven leads Modern Bliss up the sprint lane, could he win as a 12-year-old at Metropolitan level? It'd be staggering performance and a wonderful training performance by Ash Wharton.
Yeah, good call there. The horse is going really well. Matty, how do you see this event at the ripe old time of 10:30 2 p.m. if you don't mind.
Yeah, the late finishes. On the phone. Sorry, boys.
You're right. Go for it.
Got to cover any interrupting this, but the late finishes, even though it's close to home this weekend, the time, anything after 10 o'clock is not ideal, really. Like, I think last week at Cranbourne we were in at 11, and I think we got home at 4. So that's it's never ideal, and even though it's up the road, anything past 10 o'clock, I just don't really agree with, to be honest with you. But in this race, I sort of agree with how Toby reads the race. And if you go back to a trial with Highway to Heaven, maybe about 6 weeks ago, he nearly broke the track record, I think, out in front. And if he happens to hold the front, I think he holds the key to the race, and they would be doing well if he reproduces that to beat him. And like Toby said, Modern Bliss just tucked in behind him could be the danger.
Interesting. Good read there. Let's move on to the second of our sponsors and the second of our questions. Combining the power of results and horse sectionals with Sulky app, you now have access to gate speed, swooper, ability, and behaviour ratings. Never miss a trainer, driver, or gear change again. Sulky app is a form guide revolution. Will the Thinker continue his rise through the ranks, or is this a chance to play wide in the quads? Of course, we're talking about Major Thinker, horse number 3 in race 7. Might go straight back to you, Matty, here. He was good winning at Melton there on Hunter Cup Night. I think it was the first event on the card. He's going really well. He runs into some potentially more seasoned campaigners here, and it's not an easy race, but he is a horse going well for Lisa and Mark Pitt. Yeah,
his times suggest that he'll be more than competitive. He does probably step up in grade a little bit, and you wouldn't think that they'd be making the trip to Terang from Shepparton if I didn't think they were a chance. So that's probably a little bit of an indication as well. But it'll be a really interesting race to see how it pans out. And I'm just hoping there's plenty of speed on with my horse and a nice quiet run. And there's a few horses around this one that I think that can really test him, that are probably, pretty seasoned campaigners. And it'll be interesting to see what Radius does in this race. Like, at times he can be pretty positive and run some pretty cheeky races. You've seen LB2 change back in the winners list last start, and he's probably the best horse in the race if he brings his best.
I forgot to mention that, but you did reference it. Sweet Passion, you're driving a horse from your stable, first up from a spell. How's he trialled up? Is he ready to go? He's a nice horse on his best behaviour and best form.
Yeah, he's just a horse that probably has got nice ability, but doesn't always probably find the line as genuine as you like. But I was this preparation have probably been a little bit happier than what he's been at the end of last prep, and hopefully that the nice break has done him the world of good. And he'll need the run and a quiet trip, but if he can find the line like he can, I'm sure he'll be pretty competitive.
Good stuff. Toby, is it a one-out job, Major Thinker, in the quaddie, or are you playing a little bit wider if you were taking one on Saturday night?
Oh, look, I think he leads and he's clearly the horse to beat, but probably Mattie's probably more of an expert on this. Gary is 4 or 5 hours away from Terang. It's 4 hours direct, but they're going to have a float on. They've got a horse in earlier in the night, so they're going to leave it at probably 12:30, 1 o'clock, and the race is at 10 o'clock. It seems a big effort to set sail on a journey and 9 hours later race. So might be something Matt can loop back to in a moment. But, Major Thinker on top. But it's a big task, I think, to go that far and to race, and particularly when they've got horses earlier in the night. I think, again, Cemetery Bay will be the danger off the leader's back. Royal Speech has no gate speed, and speaking with Jason Finnis during the week, the son of Barry, that they wouldn't expect him to go forward or cross Cemetery Bay. So that brings Cemetery Bay right into the race. He can run a quick last half. And Operative Line trialled pretty well at Hamilton. He's a really nice horse. I've been on his bandwagon for some time. He's probably going to be 3 back the pegs, and it'll be pegs. And just before you move on, I'll get Matty to talk maybe, if he can, to that travelling all that distance. And secondly, Matty, if you just happen to beat Radius by a short half head on the line with Sweet Passion, would you actually apologise to Michael and Patrick O'Keefe on their hometown race?
Oh, they're great. They're great people, Michael and Patrick, and they put a lot of time and effort into the Terang Harness Club, that's for sure. And it's been a great horse from Radius, and you wouldn't begrudge him of a win, that's for sure. And as you talk about the travel, I think I'm still getting home from Cranbourne on last Saturday night. So you can only imagine what that does to the horse. But it's not like they can't do it. It's probably more, the following week and the weeks after as to what it takes out of them and what the trip is like on the way down. And, as a rule, the trip to Shepparton is all good road. Which way they go, I'm not too sure, but it is a big ask, and you don't just put them in willy-nilly. You sort of think about it, and I guess Mark would be coming to drive beyond Delight in the Cup, so they got a reason to come. But I'm sure they've probably put these horses in thinking that they're going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah, good chat there. Good discussion. Bronte, how do you see this race? Does Major Thinker find the front initially, and if he does, is he good enough to win, or has he got some challenges on your ratings?
I'm more confident with Major Thinker than I was in the last race with the mare. I do think it finds the front. Its gate speed isn't a full length faster than Cemetery Bay, and I know that the only reason I would suggest that Cemetery Bay may hold the front is because that's Alex Ashwood and Taylor French's training and driving style. If they like to utilise the front when they have it, and regardless, I don't think Cemetery Bay would win. But if Major Thinker in that case did have to work, I'd really like to be with Operative Line, who would be on the fence. The 4 best rated horses in this race sectionally is Major Thinker, Sweet Passion, and then Radius and Operative Line. There's very little between Maddie's horse and Major Thinker, but obviously the distance he's going to have to travel to loop the field will make up for that. But Operative Line won't have to travel extra distance on the track. So if I was to put a bet on the race, I'd be probably sticking with a swooper like Operative Line.
Yeah, I don't mind that. And you're in good form on the punt. I did see a couple of your bet slips from last night at Bendigo. So there's a bit of money in the account, Bronte. Let's move on to the next of our sponsors. Logical Staffing Solutions provide labour hire and recruitment services to the transport, warehousing, automotive and manufacturing industries. The logical solution for your staffing needs. The 10-metre brigade holds the key in the feature trot, but who is most likely to emerge on top? Bronte, straight back to you here. We're talking about the Trotters Cup on Saturday night, and I've worked back nicely here. Races 8, 7, back to 6 here. The 4 horses off the 10 metres, of course, He's All Muscle, Kiang Ignite, Kai Valley Hotspur, and Kiang Chucky. It's my opinion that the winner will come from there and probably the trifecta. Can you narrow it down, though, and find us the one on top?
There's kind of a lot of Great Southern Star form in here with Hazel Muscle. I was very, very impressed by Hazel Muscle in the Great Southern Star, especially the final. But the horse that I actually like in this race is Blue Coman, and I'm not necessarily saying it's going to win, but it is off the front. And it usually when it goes into these country cups, it has a big handicap that it has to face, and it's always chasing the field or following the field. And it also made the Great Southern Star final, the Pretty Grey. So in this race, I would probably, I haven't looked at the market, but I would be watching Blue Coman. I don't think it's the best horse in the race. Sectionally, He's All Muscle, Kiang Ignite, and Kiang Chucky are significantly better by about 2 seconds. But I think they're going to have to travel an extra 2 seconds. So I like Blue Coman just for value, if it steps well.
$4.40 a place might be the play there. I like him. He's a nice horse. Of course, he competed through the Great Southern Star. Toby, we spoke about this race on radio as soon as the fields dropped, and I thought Matty Leopard, whatever we're calling him, made a really good point. It was a race basically. You just betting on who steps first and works to the front. I mean, it's a tough one. I'm with Kiang Ignite, and no surprise, the market's got them very, very tightly together. Have you had any change of heart or any more thoughts since we spoke on Tuesday?
A few more thoughts. Yeah, I had Greg Norman on my radio show, Tim, and we talked about in 2010 when Tavolio Bene won the Pacers Cup. He ran 10th in the Hunter Cup the week before, and Greg was training at Avenel, and he's back at Avenel, and he ran 9th in a Great Southern Star. So all things sort of line up for Blue Coman in his 23rd Cup attempt. He's raced at a whole heap of 16 different tracks for those 23 Cups. He's been a grand old stager, and if I could go against a grey, that would be pretty hypocritical towards myself, I suppose. So he's got a great chance of running a place, but it's a lot even race, more even race than I see. I think Keying Ignite's the main one on top. Now, everyone's tipped it all week. $2.70 at the moment looks really good value for him. I expect he'll get into about $2. He's the best horse in the race in my mind. I have no doubt about that. He's all muscle, obvious danger, and there's a lot more depth in this race when you really start to pick it apart than you think. Sir Patrick ran second in a trial against the Pacers in better than 159, beaten 6 metres. He's a big gross horse, not sure how far forward he is. Baltica's got run a placing in a Kilmore Cup to a horse called Just Believe, which isn't bad form when you think about it. And Emmett Brosnan's had success in this race before, so he knows all about it. And I know someone else has had a bit of success in this race too, Matty. So it'll be interesting to get Matt's thoughts on Love Your Brother, who looks to me more like a Mount Gambier Cup horse than a Terang Cup horse at this stage. But Matty will no doubt elaborate on that.
Yeah, over to you, Matty. Obviously, I think your father, or he drove this at Cranbourne, and I think he thought he had the race won. Puppet, in the post-race interview with Shannon O'Sullivan, felt that the horse was your horse was going to go past him. But this is a significant step up in grade. Interested in your thoughts about your horse and also the race on a wider scale.
Yeah, it's definitely a big step up in grade for him, and it's interesting. We sort of got 3 trots on the program, but there's a big gap between the Cup and the other two, so there wasn't really a race for him other than the Cup. And if it wasn't your hometown Cup, he'd probably stay home. But we've stuck him in, and just more for the experience. He's probably a horse that maybe down the track might be capable of a race like this, but might be 12 months away. But he's run at Cranbourne. We knew he was going in a little bit underdone, and just late. Probably when his legs are starting to get a little tired, he just buckled under pressure. And whether he was going to win or not is quite debatable. But just the fitness probably give out in the end, and it's disappointing. It probably would have made the night for Cranbourne a pretty good one. Otherwise, even though the horses ran reasonably well, it was a pretty long trip home. But it is what it is, and on we go. But you look at this race, and like you say, it's pretty even, and the 10-metre line, looks very, very strong, and especially with the Great Southern Star form. And that 10-metre line looks like they get in pretty good, especially if you line up the Hamilton Cup form. My one on top is probably Keyang Chucky. Just that he could probably do it probably right, and he'll have a little bit of room out wide on the 10-metre line, and he could be a chance to get ahead of him and bring himself right into the race. And if he happened to get forward and bring his form from those last few runs, I think he'll be super hard to beat.
Yeah, good wrap there. I think you're right, though. They do get in pretty good, those 10-metre horses, don't they, for some of the form lines they've got. Going to be a really good race. Looking forward to that. That's race 6 on the card at 9:30 p.m. The big feature is, of course, the Terang Co-op Terang Pacing Cup. And the fourth and final question is, Fides is favourite for a long-awaited cup, but is he ready to go? And what does Matty do from the gate? We'll hold you to last here because we want to build a little bit of suspense. I might go back to you, Toby. We obviously revealed the field on Tuesday, and we had Andrew Spagnolo from the Tab give us the markets immediately. I think he opened at $2.30. Fides, you were quick to comment that was too short. I really agreed with you there, particularly from the gate. He's a bit of a go-back horse, and he's out to $2.90 now. What are your thoughts of is $2.90 entertaining for Fides, or are you still looking elsewhere for a bet?
I would have loved to have heard Matty's thoughts first, and I have taken note of all those references to programming and conditions, so they're getting jotted down as we go. Look, I think it's a really difficult race for Fides, and just taking a line out of the Hamilton Cup, I think he settles further back than So What, and So What followed Fides into the race and ran within 3 or 4 metres of Fides. So if you look at $8 for So What and $2.90 for Fides, when really the Hamilton Cup runs were pretty similar, and Maddie's had a little setback with fighties in between. So for me, if I look at that Hamilton Cup, I'd be keener on a horse like So What. But for me, Jillaby Willow, the more I look into the race, she ran in Cypher pretty closely last start. Now, if that was in Cypher drawn gate 3 and I was confident that she could get to the pegs and either lead and hand up to something, in Cypher wouldn't be $11 and $2.90 in this race. So the last time a mare won the race, it was Lagoon Lady for Karen Manning, and my two tips that I'm keen on in the race and is Jillaby Willow and So What, the two mares. I just think either the tempo's not in the race and, no tempo, Jillaby Willow in front, leaders back, she'll get her chance. But if there's a lot of pressure in the race, I think So What's the one from back in the field that can win the race. I just can't see how a horse like Beyond the Light can circle them and work in the chair and then beat them in a Terang Cup.
Yeah. From memory, Toby, we both were keen on Jillaby Willow for our hypothetical spend on the race. Were we looking at, I reckon we're looking at $6, $7 a place at that point in time.
Yeah, she was 34 and 666. And when you go to Matt, I'd be interested, would he want to get 3 wide ahead of So What, or would he rather be on So What's back at the 1,000-metre mark if that plays out when you get back around to Matty?
I will. Bronte, Toby's spoken about, I guess he's having the old 2-bet scenario where there's 2 scenarios, the speed's on or the speed's not. How do you see the early stages? I would probably lean towards it being on from the start, given some of those lower rated horses looking to, find a spot on the pegs.
Yeah, I think this is the hardest race of the night to figure out. I mean, I think you all know that I'm a huge fan of fighties ever since its race. I think was it now Matty 2 or 3 years ago where it just flashed home. I've loved the horse so much, and I'll be watching that horse hoping that it wins. I don't know. I obviously can't speak to its gate speed because we have only been recording our gate speed ratings for maybe 2 to 3 years, and I don't think Matty's been in a position to push it too hard early. So I don't know if it even goes forward. Matt will touch on that, or if it goes back. Jillaby Willow probably, and Jillaby Jack Sparrow. I see the 2 horses that could challenge Springfield Affair. Springfield Affair has enough gate speed to hold at the front. It's just more so who it would hand up to if it was to hand up to one, and Jillaby Willow I think will be the first one there. District Attorney is the interesting horse for me in this race, as it does rate very well, and I think it just had a trainer change to Jodie Quinlan, who knows the horse well. She used to drive it. But if I was putting a bet on this race, I'm going to go for the horse that it doesn't get impacted whether the speed's on or off, and it's going to be on the fence. It's been racing very good horses, and that's Ideal Escape. And right now I can see it's paying $5 a place. So Ideal Escape would be my bet in the race.
Good stuff. I don't know what I'm doing in this race. It's probably a sit back, and I don't have many of these races in my life where I just sit back and watch them.
Get off the fence, Tim.
I've been trying to, and I'm stuck. Give me another 10 minutes. We'll talk to Matty. Matty, what? Firstly, Fighty. I'll leave it to you to tell us what may or may not have been his little issue, and then the question towards what you do from the gate, and then probably finally, is he good enough to win with what is likely going to be a difficult trip for him?
Yeah, it's an interesting race, Tim. Like, so many scenarios, I guess, and probably a fair step up for a couple of horses. That he was racing sort of his first up and then in the Hamilton Cup. So it's definitely going to be a pretty tough ask, especially from the draw. And he just had that little setback where, we were hoping to go to the Casey Classic, but he just must have been mucking in the paddock, and whether he just wrenched his joint or whacked it, I'm not too sure. But it's just something that sort of set him back for a few days, but nothing major. And he seems pretty happy and well within himself at the moment. So we're happy enough going into Saturday night, but sort of just feel like the draw's well and truly against us. And so the way I see the race, he's got gate speed, and it's just probably not the ideal way to drive him, I don't think, especially, when he hasn't had any consistency with his racing and over the long journey. It's probably not the way to drive him in a race like this, that's for sure. And the way I sort of see the race is, like Springfield Affair, he likes to set a pretty strong tempo, but he's probably up in grade in a race like this. And I can see Jillaby Willow, looking for the front, but right on Jillaby Willow's hammer is going to be Beyond Delight, and I can see him rolling to the top inside the mile, and from there I think it's going to be super hard to be running a horse like him down, and he's coming out of races like the Hunter Cup and it's a lot stronger company than what we've been meeting, and a lot of these other horses have been meeting, and he sort of clearly sits on top for mine. And Hurricane Harley, we know how good he can be, although his last few haven't been that great. But when he doesn't have to do any work, he's brilliant, and I'm tipping that they'll be looking to drive him pretty conservative, and he could really show his speed in a race like this. But the way I see the race, panning out, I think it's going to be super hard for us. We're going to be back, and whether we're going to be able to get into the race, it's going to be the key. But if Beyond Delight finds the front inside the mile, I think it's his race for the keeping.
Yeah, well, it's probably one we didn't speak about much, Toby. And I know Matt Leopard actually said, oh, this horse opened up $6, and Matt took care of that, or in words to that effect. And we could be just overlooking the obvious here with Beyond Delight, being the class runner coming out of the Hunter Cup. He's just not my horse. He just hasn't been my horse over the journey. Not saying he's not a very, very good one, but I'm going to go a place bet Jillaby Willow. Even at the 290, I think we're really keen at the 666 or whatever the hell that is. But still keen to play at the $3. So yeah, it's going to be a great race. Really good race. There is other races we're all probably more keen on though. So that takes us to the best bets. And Toby, you've brought a lot of good numbers to the table and bits and pieces, but this is where you make a name for yourself. Give us a winner on Saturday night at Terang.
Yeah, look, race 4, number 2, Mr. Blindside for me was ultra impressive in that second. Jeff Webster absolutely never moved on the horse, and it's a strange race, and an NR up to 55. We've got a maiden in the race taking on some better horses, but Naked Truth's won a lot of races, but he's never won a 55 level race. Covelli Picasso has won a number of races of that level. Not sure about Champagne Charlie. He's a highly talented horse, and Ken Tippett's a highly talented trainer, so they'll be dangerous. But geez, Mr. Blindside, if you've watched those replays, looks really impressive. And all we've got to go off at the moment is the $8, and if it went around anything like $8, it would be well worth having an each way play on Tim. Race 4, number 2, Mr. Blindside.
Good stuff. I like that. I don't know if we'll get the $8, but that is the price marked by form analyst Craig Rail. Bronte, best bet. I've got a memory of your last appearance on Burning Questions. Did your best bet win? I think it might have.
It was the race where it was a dead heat. I think it was Jack O'Connor, and it did win at odds, but it had to share the win.
that counts. Yes. What do you like here?
I don't know what the market looks like, so I'm going to say that there's a few horses I like. I'm going to stick with the Cup. What did I say before? The horse that has drawn 8, Ideal Escape, purely because how often do you see a horse in the Cup drawing 1 or 8 not placing? And I just think statistically over the distance, I always look away from it, but I do like Ideal Escape in the Cup for a place. I wouldn't back it to win. But the other horse that I've been looking at is Morvar, because it has a trainer change in race 2. And it's a horse that's probably been in the same stable its whole career. It's got a few gear changes. The change of scenery could actually benefit the horse. Its ratings aren't the best in the race, but depending on how the odds pop up for Morvar, I think it could end up being another place value. I would like to see how that one, also how he is on the day and what he looks like. But yeah, I think Morvar could be an interesting runner.
Good stuff. Well, for the record, place bet Ideal Escape around $5 is your play on Burning Questions. Matty, I get the feeling it's probably not Fides, and if I'm right, what are we looking at for your best bet?
Well, Toby's all over it. Sort of thought that horse was a little bit of a standout on a couple of his runs, and he was also trialled pretty impressively at Terang when Jeffrey brought him down a few weeks ago. So, I think that's a horse with a lot of upside going forward, and I put my horse in there, Simba, because it was over the short trip, and I thought he'd appreciate that, but it's turned out probably a little bit stronger race than what we were hoping for. But, a few others to follow for the meeting, seeing as Toby's all over that one. I thought, in the first, Ura's first up, and, it could be a tricky race for him, and it was 1,200 metres, I'd say, he'd take a lot of running down, but over the mile, probably tough. And it probably brings a horse like Amy's into the race. Dance Away, he's been going terrific, and he'll sure be running well. And in race 3, got a horse on the comeback, after a break, Royal Division, was racing pretty strong company in I think the Vic Bred, and ran a pretty, a couple of nice races there. Later on in the card, I thought, Highway to Heaven, I thought is a key to that race. And if he brings that trial to Saturday night and maybe out in front where he probably hasn't had the opportunity to do that for a while, you could see a different horse.
Good stuff there, guys. I know you're all desperate for mine, and it's going to be a horse that I'm yet to catch. I didn't realise he was racing at Melton last week. I opened my phone up and he got up at $9 about 3 days after I made him one of my best at Ballarat, and he galloped. So I'm pretty keen on race 3, number 7, High Point. Zach Phillips takes over the driving duties, and I thought he's 2 wins. He's basically been untouched, and I reckon he can win this and win it well. Hopefully defeat Mark Pitt's unbeaten horse Amigos. But yeah, race 3, number 7, High Point is my best. Been a great show, guys. Really appreciate everybody jumping on, and we've managed to pull it all together despite the lead clan, Jason and Paddy. I'll throw him in there as well, not being up for the challenge. But Matty, good luck Saturday night, and good luck at I think you've got a stable visit Sunday. I hope I haven't given away too many secrets, but a big barbecue there for anyone who wants to roll in and maybe buy a horse off here at some point.
Everyone's welcome to call in and just visit the stables and just enjoy a sausage and meet all the other owners that are around and see the horses in the facilities. It's just, I just thought it was a good time to be able to do something like that. We've done it in the past, and if people are coming down for the Terang Cup and they want to hang around, they're more than welcome. If you're sober enough, Timmy, on Sunday, and you want to hang around, you're more than welcome to come out.
Thanks, mate. Not sure I will be, but let's try it. Thanks, mate. Toby, great job on burning questions, and you're obviously part of the coverage Saturday night with Bronte.
Yep, live and free on the trots.com.au on Trots Vision Tim, and I have been down to one of Maddie's owners' days, and they're pretty pleasant affairs. I'll just leave it at that. They're pretty good days.
Well, thankfully, my wife's not in the house at the moment, so she doesn't know what I'm planning. Bronte, thanks for all your insights. Good luck.
Bring the family, Timmy. Bring the family. They're all welcome.
The whole lot? Righto. I might be able to do that. Thanks, Matty. Ollie can meet Ollie, maybe. My Ollie and your boy. That's the go.
I didn't know there was any other Ollies in the world till we had an Ollie, and now they're everywhere.
I think it's the most popular name for the last 8 years. Bronte, thanks for your insights and good luck on the coverage. And I think you might even head to Warrnambool at some stage and take in a bit of Victoria.
Oh, yeah, I just love a beach. So if I'm going to be close enough on Sunday, I think that's probably where I'll be.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys. That's been Burning Questions, February 16. Make sure you join all the coverage and take in all the lead-up coverage on the trots.com.au ahead of the Terang Pacing and Trotting Cups this Saturday night.